Okay, there were some comments requesting information on the Lordstown versus Foxconn lawsuit. And I've been doing some research. I came across this website, JD Supra, and Kerr Russell's Attorneys and Counselors. Now, this report is by a guy named James Delane, and we're going to go over his background in a second. This is a very well done legal summary. I have minimal experience being involved in working at law offices and so forth, and I was just deeply impressed with how concise and anyway, I think this is a great piece, and it should get everybody up to date, although this is dated June 27th, 2023. This is when everything broke, so I can't find any more updates. I'll keep looking. If I do find any, I will update this material. But let me just go through this. And again, James Delane, Kerr Russell, Attorneys and Counselors, and this is JD Supra. Great summary. Lordstown Motors filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in Delaware on June 27, 23. We know this has been resolved with Steve Burns purchasing the IP and assets, mostly everything. I said there's a question of some 90 acres of land and other things. I'm sure at some point we'll get more detail on what was purchased, but certainly the IP, they said all the documents, all the drawings. So everything to build the endurance and for that hub motor drive system. All right. As part of its bankruptcy filing. So as part of the filing, at the same time, on June 27th, Lordstown sued. So this has been going on since it was going on. It was filed alongside of the bankruptcy. Sued its strategic partner, Taiwan's Foxconn, for allegedly setting in motion circumstances that drove Lordstown into bankruptcy. I think this is true. I think also that there were more than one set of forces. As you all know, I have my tinfoil hat on this entire process, and I'll make some comments along the way of outside forces. I think, obviously, Hindenburg, Soros, Terry Gao, the former president founder of Foxconn, who was chairman, who retired to run for president of Taiwan. We've got Donald Trump involved in this. Certainly Blackstone did a large purchase of Lordstown stock, and then, which was very suspicious. I did a video of it on it at the time, and it is my opinion, at a critical point, almost time to the day of Donald Trump, and this is not a political channel, I have no political views here. Donald Trump announced for his run for the 2024 for the election. BlackRock dumped the stock, stampeded the stock shareholders, and crashed its stock to a penny stock. All of these things happening, and you can see my other videos on this. I'm not going to rehash all this now. It's just, there's too much there for it to be coincidence, in my opinion. And I think the overall motivation involves denying Trump a victory in industrial policy, that being the Lordstown Motors endurance and Lordstown Motors as a company. But let me just move forward. So this has been filed. So this is filed. I cannot find any status. It's probably been filed in Delaware, the same place that this bankruptcy was filed, although we don't know that. It could be filed in Ohio. He goes over some And of course, setting in motion circumstances that drove Lordstown into bankruptcy. I agree. The background we're not going to go over. We know the background. I'll give you 10 seconds. Trump badgered Mary Barra after General Motors shut down the plant in Lordstown, Ohio, forced her essentially to sell the plant at a very reasonable price to Lordstown Motors, which went in and opened up. After Trump left office, the Hindenburg attacks started. There was an SEC and DOJ under the Biden administration, which forced the ouster of the CFO and the CEO. And then a whole series of things took place. There was some great interim management, and a new executive team came in, and also they went on to resurrect the company, recreate the company by joining with Foxconn. So this is where we are now. We have new executive management, and Foxconn has been approached as a partner. According to Lordstown adversarial complaint, Lordstown and Foxconn entered into an agreement in 2021 to form a deep partnership. And if you recall, Dan Niavaji said, we are all in. And so this was a very serious effort. They worked jointly on electric vehicle programs. Bit of background here. Foxconn really has no experience in electric vehicles. They have prototypes, and they have third parties manufacturing some electric vehicles for them. Foxconn is an assembler and a manufacturer of components, design engineering, certainly the red tape and the complexity of getting a vehicle to market, especially in the United States, following all of the certification and homologation. This is something that Foxconn has no skill in. At this time, as part of their agreement, Lordstown sold its Ohio assembly plant to Foxconn at a fraction of its replacement costs. So they did sell them the plant cheap as going in all in on this partnership to create a bigger entity. The parties' agreement contemplated the formation of a joint venture under which, and this was the first agreement, Foxconn would fund the development of future vehicle programs and proprietary software. And this was the joint venture, and you can go over my videos on the joint venture agreement. It involved Lordstown Motors being the design and engineering arm of this, and then after the projects were all sussed out, they would be turned over to Foxconn for manufacturing and sourcing of parts. This is, in fact, a prototype JV project would have been the Lordstown Endurance, which was homologated, certified, safety tested, so forth, by Foxconn, designed, engineered, and then turned over to Foxconn for manufacture, by the way, using Lordstown employees. But that would be the prototype of a JV project. And you can see my videos under this. And then development of Foxconn would fund the development of future programs and proprietary software. So this was all going to be combining 2 + 2 = 5 with Foxconn and Lordstown. As part of the JV, many of Lordstown manufacturing and operational employees at the plant became employees of Foxconn. So, as you can see, Foxconn had no skills in this area. This whole effort was underpinned by Lordstown Motors and the great staff there, many of whom moved over as part of the deal to Foxconn and became employees of Foxconn. Under a separate manufacturing agreement, Lordstown outsourced to Foxconn the manufacturing of the Endurance. I said this was a prototypical JV program. This is how it was going to work. Lordstown would do design and engineering, homologation, certification, crash testing, and then turn it over to Foxconn for part sourcing, manufacture, very much like the Apple model, where the design and everything is specifications are handled in one place and then turned over to Foxconn for assembly. This was the plan. Including the component purchase program. Lordstown also alleged that Foxconn was to share the design of two new electric vehicles, the Model C crossover and the Model E sedan, that Foxconn has developed independently. Lordstown claims it had devoted enormous resources towards making Foxconn's EV ambitions a reality. And I just want to pause here. You know, in writing, and you can again view my videos on this Model E and Model C, these are prototypes. They specified exactly that these two, especially these two projects, were going to be the first joint venture programs under the agreement, and even Hightower, the CEO of Lordstown Motors, said that as the agreement was reached, that work was already underway on making these programs a reality. And when it says Lordstown claims that it devoted enormous resources towards making Foxconn's EV ambitions reality, this is true with the Model C and Model E. This is true with providing Foxconn the plant at a reasonable amount. This is true with providing Foxconn the staff to actually accomplish these builds. So it really was a deep partnership, and Dan Niavaji was at the helm of this, and he is no newcomer to this, and I think they were all the parties were operating on good faith, at least initially. Now, at some point, and I do believe that this could be, it's hard to track the dates, this could be the Terry Gao's decision, the former chairman of Foxconn, to enter the Taiwanese election. I think this is when things started to sour. Although he is technically no longer associated with this company, believe me, he is a very powerful individual, and he has great sway over Foxconn. And I do believe he, because of mainland China, he's running for the president of Taiwan. He is not a China apologist, but he wants to reunite Taiwan and China. Other Democrat entities on Taiwan do not. They want to remain independent. I think that Terry Gao did not want to do anything that would support Trump's presidency, because obviously Trump and China are like oil and water. China does not want Trump to be president. So that is my take, my tinfoil hat on that. I think this is what started happening. Okay, so Foxconn stonewalled the joint venture. Okay, they never shared the designs for the Model C or Model E, okay, which was from day one in the purchase agreement. These were mentioned. This is the first crack in the relationship. Instead, Foxconn announced that it would be manufacturing vehicles for other OEMs, including Pear, InDev, and Monarch at the Lordstown, Ohio plant. Now, I do believe Lordstown went along with this, and the idea under the joint venture is that these Pear and InDev and Monarch, so forth, a lot of these subsystems were going to be engineered through the development by Lordstown as the design and engineering, and with Foxconn being the manufacturing end. Now, Monarch is under manufacture at the plant right now. I don't know how many. This is a tractor, an AI tractor, which is a very cool item. Of course, this does not have to meet the crash testing and certification and homologation that a roadworthy vehicle has to meet in the United States. So this is something that is an assembly program. I'm oversimplifying here for Foxconn. As you know, the Pear and the InDev are still in development. The Pear looks like a very interesting vehicle. I do believe Fisker, again, develops rough prototypes, maybe some subsystems, but they leave the detailed design, engineering, certification, homologation, so forth, to the agent that's going to build this car. And I don't believe that Foxconn has this capability in-house. I don't believe the Pear or the InDev are announced. This third-party manufacturing, it was my understanding this is part of the joint venture. I could be wrong, or this writer may have not gotten it quite right. But the point is, there was massive amounts of interest in this third-party engineering design, custom build program. And this was something that Hightower spoke of, making common systems that could be applied to several different models and so forth, and standardizing parts and so on. This was all in the works. However, without the Model C or the Model E, Model C is, you can see my videos on this. The Model E is an executive sedan. They call it an executive sedan in China. Very nice vehicle. And that's the Model E. The Model C is a crossover, another very nice BMW-like crossover, at a more affordable level. These were never, this again was the crack in the relationship. So again, there have been drawings out and some news on the Pear. I think they gave a startup production date maybe in 2025. It's very shady. We don't know. InDev, since the launch, again, a very interesting vehicle. No news on a start date on actual production there. I do believe they got a prototype off on that. So Pear is an affordable BEV, supposed to be groundbreaking, $30,000 or lower, small Fiat-like vehicle. Very interesting. There's news of that in my videos as well. So the joint venture was showing cracks. Foxconn didn't want to give over anything to Lordstown. Again, you can look at saying, well, we don't want to give anything over that's going to empower Lordstown. We're going to let them work as a contractor. I think this is how it turned out. So the next phase of the association was, in an attempt to resolve their differences, the parties pivoted to the JV agreement. From the JV agreement, which was the design, build, certify, homologate, turn over to Foxconn to source and manufacture, along with Lordstown doing the quality control and so forth, to form a JV agreement. And this was negotiated by, with Danny Vaggi in the loop. They moved from a JV agreement to a new investment agreement, okay? And as you recall, I believe one of the calls there, Danny Vaggi was very excited about this. And moving, they were calling it a partnership in kind of rough terms, but it moved, the intention was to move it past a joint venture, which is a limited term, limited activities, to more of a partnership. And this was the investment agreement. And this was what Danny Avagi touted it as they turned a joint venture into a massive $170 million investment and more ongoing funding and so forth. Now, behind the scenes, this is the news here that this lawyer or this case analysis has come up with. Foxconn, under the investment agreement, Foxconn and SoftBank. If you know who SoftBank is, one of the biggest investment houses in the world. They've made big bets on a lot of major tech companies, and they're world renowned on, picking winners, although they picked some losers. But to have SoftBank involved in this was never revealed to my knowledge. And Foxconn is one of the biggest companies in the world. SoftBank, one of the biggest investment companies in the world. So you've got two giants here with an investment agreement with Lordstown Motors. The probability of success skyrockets, okay? A multinational technology investment, that's how they describe SoftBank. So Foxconn and SoftBank got together, would purchase common and preferred stock of Lordstown for $170 million. Now, part of this took place, and I do believe the Foxconn portion of this investment took place, but it looks like the SoftBank end never came in. I believe they ended up with about 50 to 70 million of this 170 million actually changed hands. So, big news, Foxconn and SoftBank, a multinational technology, would purchase common and preferred stock of Lordstown for $170 million and possibly take Lordstown private to develop a new electric vehicle platform favored by SoftBank. So this was enormous. This is an enormous opportunity here. This is what Dan Niavaji was excited about. And the really exciting thing is they could do it. All the pieces of the puzzle were in place. The skill sets, everything. And Lordstown Motors was the key. But the stock purchase never came to fruition. So, Foxconn failed to use necessary efforts to agree upon a budget or critical milestones. Foxconn in turn, now this is where everything turned. And again, I'm going to ask you to look back on all of this and look at the lead up to Trump announcing for his run for the president, and also the activities of Hindenburg, BlackRock, Terry Gao walking back statements he made about joining the two Chinas. This is a takedown of a giant venture. Foxconn, and what is Foxconn's goal behind this? Foxconn failed to use necessary efforts to agree upon a budget or critical milestones. Foxconn in turn sought to terminate the investment agreement when Lordstown's share price fell below minimal thresholds. And who did that? That was BlackRock. And when was that? What was that time to? That was time to the announcement that Donald Trump was going to run for president. And BlackRock is deeply associated with the Biden administration. And there are members of BlackRock, executives from BlackRock, who went to work for the executive branch of, they're in key positions in the Biden White House. So, and it is my opinion that BlackRock crashed this stock down to a penny stock, and this gave Foxconn, said, well, it's a penny stock. Of course, Lordstown Motors did the reverse split, so it didn't matter. But this is really, the MacGuffin right here. Why would all of this be in place, all the parts be in place, and then all of a sudden everything falls apart for no good reason? So, and again, Hindenburg, their activities in India, crashing a company there, that they have been traced back to George Soros and the funding of Soros of Hindenburg, who attacked Lordstown. Soros is an arch enemy of Donald Trump. Again, not a political channel. Also, Carl Icahn was attacked by Hindenburg after this. And you'd say to yourself, why in the world would Hindenburg attack Carl Icahn? Carl Icahn's fun. Carl Icahn is one of the giants of Wall Street. And, it makes no sense until you realize that Dan Niavaji and Carl Icahn worked together for years, that Niavaji was Icahn's automotive guy. And this, after this fell apart, having the endurance in production, but needing funding, this is what Carl Icahn likes to invest in, these kind of opportunities. That's just my speculation there. But the question is, SoftBank, Foxconn, skill sets, everything. I mean, all of a sudden, everything falls apart without reason. Consequently, Lordstown accused Foxconn of maliciously destroying business, stripping assets, and poaching its talent. All true. In an adversarial complaint against Foxconn and its affiliates, Lordstown asserted claims for fraud, breach of contract, and torturous interference. I don't know if that is torturous. I don't know. As the litigation plays on bankruptcy code, automakers and suppliers alike can heed three important lessons. So the question is, the deal made in heaven, a lot going on here. I can only say what I've laid out as my rationale for this. And I think one really has to look to Terry Gao. They have to look to BlackRock. They have to look to Soros. They have to look to Hindenburg. There are a lot of people who did not want this to happen. I don't know. I'm beginning to think that the president's CEO and board, or the CEO of Foxconn, was actually behind this, but was overruled by Terry Gao. This is what it looks like to me. But to have Foxconn and SoftBank involved, this was going to be massive. And, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shipping containers came into Lordstown. There was all kind of work done there. God only knows, how far this went and what the plans were. I mean, one can see how this could have scaled massively. And, you can watch my videos about, the potential clients, and, they're talking about building housing in Lordstown for workers and turning this into a mega Foxconn plant. I mean, this is all documented in my videos. How this could have been scuttled, it's hard to understand. Now, we did have a looming recession, but the interest rate hikes hadn't kicked in, and there's a decline in BEV sales right now. I just want to make a quick comment about that. Ford says, the demand is down. Well, the reason that no one's buying the Ford BEVs is because, number one, the Lightning is a failed Frankenstein of a BEV. They rushed it to get it out. The battery's too big. It takes it too long to charge. It loses 50% of its power when the temperature drops to 40 degrees. It's wallowy. The brakes overheat after 3 stops at highway, 3 slowdowns at highway speeds. I mean, this this truck, they caught fire in the shipping area. One was parked, sitting still, caught fire, caught 4 other Lightnings on fire. This is not a good truck, and they are selling it at a premium. They're all over $100,000. You can look on YouTube, guys, going over lots full of Lightnings. They're all over. That's why the Lightning isn't selling at all. Okay, it's not a good truck. It's a Frankenstein. It's hard to charge, and it's too expensive, and it's too complex. Okay, that's the virtue of the Endurance, is the simplicity. Other BEVs also aren't selling. Let me tell you, Bolt, park it outside. Don't park it in your house. It's going to burn the house down. Of course, they did the recall on that, but who knows, right? The Ioniqs, all the other cars, there have been documented problems with all these BEVs. Right now, the only really performing BEV is the Tesla. And now Tesla's had to do price cuts, but they are selling vehicles. So I think, obviously, when you have a recession, one of the key benchmarks of a recession is failing auto sales, when auto sales stop or slow. And we're in a recession. Certainly, I think the growth is still there in the BEV market. I think right now people want a Tesla, the brand. They don't care. I don't think they care if it's a BEV or not. They want a Tesla because it's a cool car. It makes everything else look like a horse and buggy. I think the big three are shooting themselves in the foot by slowing down all this development, because when we come out of this recession, I do believe that the BEVs are going to be, sales are going to go back up. And I think, and I've gone over this, the fleet sales, BEV fleet sales are just waiting to be filled. Now, Ford, they claim they made a fleet vehicle. Did they make one? Not really. How many did they make? Hardly any. It was a $40,000 vehicle, which they lost, I don't know, X amount of dollars on. But again, can't hook a snowplow to it. Takes hours to charge. Loses 50% of its power at 40 degrees. What fleet manager is going to buy that truck? The Endurance was the perfect light pickup truck for fleets. Anyway, I think this is big news here. This, Dan Niavaji is a big thinker, and he kept saying, we're all in. This is a big deal. Hightower also was very excited, and you can see why. What was going on behind the scenes here was really something. And, the mystery of the ages is what happened here. And I can only say that politics are more powerful. Forget about the invisible hand of the market. Politics really rule everything. And I think we had a hostile DOJ, a hostile SEC. I think we have these actors, politically affiliated actors, Hindenburg and BlackRock, and other players as well. I mean, Terry Gao, certainly, as you can see by what's happening now in China, he is a force to be reckoned with. But anyway, I thought this was very interesting. I think it shows you the real promise that was there with Lordstown Motors. And it's sometime we're going to have to all get an explanation of what happened. It's just, let's just go over this guy's analysis. What he said went wrong with this agreement. Don't leave anything to negotiate. Many of Lordstown grievances arose from Foxconn's alleged failure to use commercially reasonable efforts to negotiate in good faith or good faith efforts to agree on milestones. This is true. I think Lordstown had good faith, entered into the partnership with good faith. It looks like, at least initially, Foxconn did. But then everything went down the toilet. So it says, failure to use commercially reasonable efforts to negotiate. Don't leave anything to negotiate. Well, at the time, Lordstown Motors was looking to do something new, and they were doing a Hail Mary pass, and they had what they thought was a good partner. I can see how they left some of the small things up, especially with the initial sale. As you recall, it went on a long time. There was a lot of negotiations. It almost ran over the deadline. And I think they, shook hands and agreed to finish it up later, and Foxconn backed out of it. But anyway, don't leave anything to negotiate. Of course, I think that's a general rule. That's probably something they should, anyone should study. But again, this is a very complex arrangement. This is a new industry. This is a new technology. This is a new market. Everything's new. It's not like there were templates to follow. This was a new type of hybrid organization. So, I think by default, there's going to be things that are going to be left open to negotiate by both the parties. Now, protect your talent. Use employment agreements with appropriate non-disclosure, non-solicit, and non-compete covenants to protect your employees. To the extent necessary, loan or lease employees to partners in JVs rather than transfer employment. And again, now Lordstown, again, was operating in good faith, and now that core of highly trained individuals has become the core of Foxconn's